I understand that his mom is in custody, and I think he's out on a bracelet. Yeah. So, it's a bad situation, but for somebody like him, I mean, it seems to me like he put himself in this position.
Let's talk about his mom a bit too, because obviously she's involved in all of this. And what was interesting to me is that she had been convicted and served time a couple of decades ago for something somewhat similar. And now we have another conviction. And I'm wondering if that's going to affect sentencing potentially, the fact that she was already convicted of a similar crime. And now she's convicted once again, kind of showing she didn't change her ways or she wasn't reformed in a way. Do you think that could affect her sentencing?
Yeah, that's pretty much probably the way the prosecution is going to start off their sentencing argument. Like she didn't learn her lesson, and this is something that anytime that you've been, any criminal history that you have can and will be used against you at sentencing, especially if it's something that's factually similar to what's occurring, because now you can't even really play stupid, right? And then a problem is at sentencing is if you want to continue to play stupid, which is going to be the word for this interview, right? If you want to continue to play stupid and that you didn't know, right? Then the government is like, and the judge is going to be like, you don't even have remorse because you're still playing like if you didn't know what you were doing. Right? Because a lot of times that's what the government and that's what judges want to hear. Like, do you have actual remorse? And if it's still in a position where you're in front of a judge being sentenced and you're still acting like you don't know why you're here, well, then you haven't accepted your guilt and you don't have real remorse. So that's something that could be taken into consideration.
Something that's interesting about this too is that his mother, Janice, actually took the stand to testify in her own defense, which is interesting. Sean Kingston did not. And I know it's up to the actual defendant to decide whether it's their right to testify, it's their right not to. But what would those discussions look like with their defense attorneys to prep for this? Because she would face cross-examination.
Right. Well, listen, I am of the belief that your client should almost never testify. After doing this 22 years, and when I say almost never, I mean I can count on my hands the number of clients that I had that I believe should have testified. In a case like this, I would definitely say don't testify, because when you get, and I haven't been privy to the cross-examination, but you're gonna get slaughtered. I mean, there's no way to explain it away. The exception to the rule that I believe that no one should testify in their own defense is like if you're facing like a charge of involving something sexual with a child or abuse of an animal. Like there's certain things that I believe that a jury, if you don't stand up there and tell them that you didn't do it, they will convict you. And I believe that things that have to do with children, things that have to do with animals, if you try and not take the stand, I think that in those cases, I think it's appropriate because juries expect you to, and they really want to hear you. But in a fraud case like this, where it's the wires are there, the bank transfers are there, the witnesses are there. So what are you going to do? You're going to take the stand and do what? Play stupid?